Hey everyone, Colin Gray with you from the Australian Rock Show YouTube channel and also from Vicious Kitten Records, Australia. We're here back on a Friday afternoon. It's Friday afternoon with Col. I know that because you're in Col's bar. You can see that. You're surrounded by beer cans, good records, and importantly, my opinion on a few things, for what that's worth. Today we're going to continue on with a couple of things that we talked about last week, and we're also going to talk a little bit about this record. Came out last year by the great Kevin Kay. It's called Cadillac Man. Going to spin to 2 or 3 songs for that from this album on the video, so you can check it out. But before we do, I just want to correct a couple of things from last week's show. Minutes, if you will. A couple of errors I made. I think a couple of these errors are made because everything here is live. There's no script. It's not a fancy production. There's no people at the back with 15 different camera angles. It is what it is. It's one take, and that's basically how it is. So last week I spoke about the Nicky Sudden song from Rock and Roll War Volume 2 being released on another album. I got that confused. The song on Rock and Roll War 2 by Nicky Sudden only was released on Rock and Roll War Volume 2. The song I was getting confused was the song that appeared on Rock and Roll War Volume 1. Still with me? Which was released on Fred Beethoven album from around 2017, I think it was. And that song was, of course, Looking at You. And there was a video for that. Of Nicky driving around Berlin in an open-top convertible. If you check through the YouTube channel, you'll find that. It's there. A few things I want to talk about today. A couple of things. Importantly, for some people, the Foo Fighters have been in town. That means a lot to a lot of people. Dave Grohl is the go-to guy. Dave is, in many ways, the default spokesperson on anything rock and roll. Doesn't do a lot for me, but that's just me. Some people love him. Some people think he's absolutely fantastic. A couple of people I work with went to see the Foo Fighters, and they came back sort of raving about it. Again, you know, it doesn't really float my boat because I grew up with different things. You know, I grew up with the Ramones and Johnny Thunders and that kind of ilk. So if you are into, I guess to me, even though these bands play stadiums, bands like Foo Fighters and Sum 41, Simple Plan, Bowling for Soup, all these kinds of beige, what I call beige punk bands. It's okay, you know. Some of the Foo Fighters stuff, you know, I've heard it. It's okay. Yeah. They're a good band. They write good songs. But there's a lot of good bands that write good songs. There's a lot of people who are talented. There's a lot of people who are hardworking. But the success of the Foo Fighters and Dave Grohl particularly is not based on merit. Because success is not a meritocracy, as I've said many times. You know, people who I've supported and believed in on Vicious Kitten Records and personally and professionally for many years, none more than, say, Kevin Kay. My God, Kevin's released something like 33 solo albums. He's been around since the mid-1970s. Dues paid. It's not all about dues, though. As I said, success is about connections and luck. And I was trying to explain this to people that I sort of worked with. And I started thinking about this topic a little bit more. As I said, you know, Dave is everywhere. Dave is oversaturated in many ways. You know, there's Foo Fighters pinball machines. Dave's there in the soup kitchen handing out, you know, soup. That's noble. You know, we should all be more like Dave. If Taylor Swift can be the Time Person of the Year this year, short-priced favourite would be Dave for next year. Let's see if I'm right. So it did start me thinking a little bit more about meritocracy and basically how, you know, things work, connections and things work to play in people's favour. So, luck and connections, particularly in the music industry. So these are things I was sort of jotting down before. As I said, you know, there's a ton of people who are hardworking and talented. Grohl was playing in a band called Scream, not to be confused with the Scream, who was I suppose the LA band who had John Corabi, who went on to be in Motley Crue famously. He was playing a band in 1990 called Scream, and the guy from the Melvins, Buzz, whatever his surname is, he took Cobain and the other guy, bass playing Novoselic, to see the Scream. You know, they were in need of a drummer. They'd already signed, apparently, or just about had signed that major label deal. One thing leads to another. Yeah, off they go. Along for the ride. So, arguably, and this is the question I put forward to people, if Grohl hadn't have been in Nirvana, without that profile, would he have been given that platform, fairly or otherwise, to be in the stratosphere? I'll talk about bands in the stratosphere another time, because certain bands are in the stratosphere that just doesn't make sense to me. It's more about the machine, as George Harrison used to talk about. Yeah, this is the machine. This is, you know, I've got to see the Foo Fighters because, well, I have to. I have to take my kids to see Taylor Swift because, well, it's $800 a ticket, but we don't want to miss out. It's the fear of missing out, you know. It's a machine. And I'd much rather see, as I said last week, I'd much rather see someone playing original music to 10, 15, 20 people, because that's more real. Don't get me started about tribute bands, because tribute bands are quite often the bane for me. So continuing on in this theme, yeah, so all those bands that came up from that period, you know, the media gave them that sort of tag, you know, the Seattle bands and grunge and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, some of them weren't obviously from Seattle. Bands like the Melvins, you know, I saw the Melvins, I saw Mudhoney on their first tour. These bands are okay. They were okay. They certainly weren't any better than Australian bands around at that time. Bands like Bored, bands like God, who else am I thinking of? Cosmic Psychos for a start, slightly different style, Celibate Rifles, and all these bands, you know, a lot of these so-called grunge bands cite bands like the Scientists as a huge influence on them. So, you know, when Nirvana toured, I wasn't certainly overwhelmed. I didn't go and see Nirvana. I was into other things, you know. I was still hung up on that Screaming Tribesmen album from 1991 when they were still touring. I thought that was a fantastic album, and I was seeing other bands. You know, that's the genre that I was into. All those bands that come up from that Detroit, you know, Birdman kind of scene. So, you know, but even those bands who came around, Dinosaur Jr., it didn't do a lot for me. But now these bands have this kind of almost mythical status based on their connection to touring with Nirvana. Even bands like the Meanies who supported Nirvana here, I think, not really my sort of cup of tea. So my point is, all these bands could have been as big as Nirvana, you know. So Dave's up there in the stratosphere. Foo Fighters, everything they do, it's brilliant, you know. Dave bestows his, you know, recommendation or whatever on people. I don't know. It's just out of control in as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, opinions, everyone's got one, right? This is just mine. I could be wrong. Right, Fonz? Hope you work with me. I'm battling a little bit of a cold here today. So, before we go on a little bit, I'm going to talk to you about lyrics that you may have heard 1,000 times in a song and you never noticed it, and you thought, well, that's a clever lyric. Yeah, never noticed that before. The other day, I was driving along and they played the Rod Stewart song, Do You Think I'm Sexy? And there's a line in there that's very clever because it basically says, he says, I'm sorry, but I'm out of milk and coffee. Never mind sugar. We can watch the morning movie. Clever. I thought that was clever. A lot of controversy around that song particularly, not just from, I suppose, diehard Rod fans who'd been around since the time he was with in the late 60s, and he'd been the blues-based scene that brought up John Mayall, and he'd been with Long John Baldry and of course Through the Faces. So blues purists were aghast that he was releasing like this kind of so-called disco sort of thing. But that album, I think it was appeared on, was it Blondes Have More Fun? His band at that period with Carmine Appice and Greg Granger on guitar and Jim Cregan on guitar, Jimmy Chen on bass. They are a rock solid band. That bass line in that song is really great. But for those who are in the know, Jorge Ben had the original of that song, and did Rod lift that? I don't know. Might play a little bit of that now. You can make your own opinion. Cut to that. Come back in 30 seconds. So, the point of today, Friday Afternoon with Cole, is to remind you of this brilliant album by Kevin Kay. This was solo album, or album number 33 for Kevin Kay. And it's just an album that too few people thus far have sort of heard about. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the songs and the making of some of these songs. And we'll go to about a minute of three of the videos on it. So, as I said, this is solo album 33 for Kevin. And it's, again, consistently strong material. And many people, from a couple of reviews I read, consider this to be his best album, which is, I guess, not a small statement to make or a small claim to make, given the volume and back catalogue that Kevin has. So what's interesting about this is this album was written, I guess, initially during lockdown, and many of the songs on this are written in open G 5-string tuning, which, of course, is famously employed by Keith Richards. And a lot of these songs, if you hear them, they could be extras on Sticky Fingers or Exile on Main Street. So what we might do, I'll tell you a little bit more about it, if we find it, and then I'll cut to 2 or 3 of the songs. So why don't we let the music do the talking, and we're going to hit you now with a video up here in the corner, play about 60 seconds of it, hit you with a song called No Respect. Now, this is highlighted by a killer punk riff, and I guess in Kevin's perspective, the commentary is about the world in lockdown and the imposed sanctions. You know, the lyrics are, which mask are you? Everyone's wearing a mask. There's even a subtle ode to Aretha Franklin at the end of the song. But this is great. You know, what Kevin does really well. It's heavy power pop, killer riff, and truckload of melody. So this is Kevin Kay with a tune called No Respect. Check this out.
Well, the taxman knocking at my front door. No cigars at my grocery store. It's a joke how we have to live. no respect at all. Time to take it out into the street. It's all about you and me.
Well, I mean, what a tune, right? Why don't people know that? You need to know that. If you don't know it, if you don't like this one, well, I'll give you another one. Okay, so this is another tune on the album called Every Night I'm Dreaming. Again, this song has a lockdown theme about isolation, destination, bored to death. Again, flush with razor sharp riffs and a massive chorus. You know, this is another hit to happen. Think Michael Monroe or classic era Hanoi Rocks, and you are part of the way there. This is Kevin Kay from Cadillac Man. Cut to it again with the tune Every Night I'm Dreaming.
Flying high, don't know why, gonna die, wonder why. Every night I'm dreaming, every night I'm dreaming, every night I'm dreaming about you. I'm a loser.
I mean, am I right? Again, you know, it's that melody, you know, another great song. So that's two, and I'm just picking any of these at random. But again, you know, there's 20 songs on this album, so it's like a double album. It is like Exile on Main Street. For those who aren't familiar with Kevin Kay, starting off with Cadillac Man is as good a place to start as any. So if you don't like those two songs, let's check out the third one, right? Pretty hard to please if you don't. So why don't we play, what do we play? No Respect, Every Night I'm Dreaming, and now let's go to another great song, which is called 1989. Now, 1989 was a great year for Kevin Kay. He and his brother were living in New York City, a band called Road Vultures, and amazing, great period, you know. So let's look at this. Stupendous, say that again, stupendous melodic punk with crunching guitars and killer riffs. Thematically, it sees Kevin Kay drifting back to 1989 and reminiscing about people and places. CBGB, Dee Dee Ramone, Johnny Thunders, and the Sounds record store in St. Mark's Place, where Kevin worked for a number of years. And this is basically a New York City that no longer exists, right? All the good times are now gone, nothing left except this song. But man, what a song. Check this out. Am I right? Another great song. I mean, I could sit here and play every song here of this record, and they're all equally good, right? There's a great tribute song to the Ramones called No Ramones. There's an epic tune called Forgotten Boy, which to me is reminiscent of something off John Lennon's Double Fantasy LP. Oh yeah, that's that good. Angeline, there's a Kevin pays homage to the American singer, actress, media personality, and model who came to prominence in the mid-1980s in Hollywood and Los Angeles due to her appearance on Billboard. She was the Billboard Queen. There's a movie made about her 3 or 4 years ago called Angeline. That's also a great tune. Many songs. Songs like I Miss You, High Over You, songs with a Stones influence, songs with a Johnny Thunders influence. But, you know, no one writes better power pop punk with a melodic hook better than Kevin Kay. You know? So, if you dig this, what you've heard today, you know what to do. This album's available everywhere. Okay, you can get it from MVD distribution through a ton of retailers online. If you search for this, which is Kevin Kay Cadillac Man, Google it, you'll find it everywhere online. You can also get it from, check out Vicious Kitten Records webpage, and there's a link to the Bandcamp. But look, you can pick it up everywhere. Right? So it's been distributed very widely, wide and far. You've had a little bit of a listen, give you a little hint before a last minute stocking stuffer, as they say, you know, festive. Yeah, but you want to hear one more? Yeah, let's hear one more. Okay. I'll cut to about 30 seconds. Okay. This is a tune that I think on the album could have been the radio hit. All right. So this may well be the quintessential summer road trip holiday radio anthem. Killer heavy duty pop with a feel good vibe, sing-along chorus and harmony vocals. Throw in Mick Taylor like guitar crunch, a splintering solo, and you have yourself another potential hit. Roll down the windows, it's summer. This is Kevin Kay with Girl of My Dreams. Check this out as well.
Well, we met at a city park, drink a cheap cherry wine. Everything seems cool, and everything's fine. Summertime in the rain, heat and suns of pain. 1 or 3 fans all day, it's so cool. She's the girl of my dreams, the girl of my dreams. She's the girl of my dreams. I can't wait to see.
Right, okay. Another one. So that's 4 you've given you a little bit of a sample listen to today. As I said, check it out. It's available everywhere. You know, it's another recommended album for you. Okay. So that's basically all I really had today. Don't have too much else. I've been battling, as I said, a little bit of a cold, but I hope to be back with a clearer agenda next week. Today's t-shirt, Shangri-La's. Love the Shangri-La's. Mary Weiss, the singer, put out a great album in 2016 or 17. 2016 or was it? No, maybe earlier than that. 2006, called Dangerous Game on Norton Records. If you don't have that album, check that one out. That's brilliant as well. Folks, my name is Colin Gray from Vicious Kitten Records. Thank you for watching. Tune in next Friday. We'll see you then. Thank you.